Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building. He's the commissioner for the New York City Department of Small Business Services, Kevin D. Kim. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
He's here to trap y'all. All y'all people that was getting them SBA loans. He's here to encourage y'all to call in so he can get y'all locked up.
That's not true.
Is that the truth? Is that the reason why?
Well, look, we're here to just help any small business, any large business too, actually. Our small business service is a little bit of a misnomer of an agency because we do a lot of workforce development training as well. We've got 18 workforce centers around the city. But yes, in terms of helping connect people to loans and grants, that's us.
How much did y'all give out during COVID?
During COVID, I think we connected to people to probably about over 200 million, maybe over 300 million. I got to get that exact number.
And these loans have to be paid back. This is not like the loans that you could just write off. They have to be paid back after a year and a low interest rate, correct?
There were a number of programs. Some were grants, some were loans where you did have to pay back, but some have also like very, very low interest rates, most of them. So, and the good news is that in some of our programs, we haven't had any defaults, and the lenders, they're working with the borrowers to extend terms or do whatever it takes. So I think during COVID, we went through extraordinary times, and I think everybody's kind of reacting accordingly, and it's been a successful program in general.
Well, Commissioner, I wanted to talk to you about exactly what the Small Business Services does, because a lot of times people ask me like, oh, I need some help with my business. I need to learn how to do this. And I do direct them to Small Business Services because it is something we pay for with our tax dollars, and a lot of the programs that you guys have are free. So can you talk about what are some of the programs that you guys offer?
Absolutely. So SBS, Small Business Services, we use SBS as a term for short. We have 4 divisions, and one of them is Division of Business Services, that's where if anybody wants to start a business, grow a business, they come to us, and we have small business advocates who can go hand in hand, hold your hand basically through the whole process of getting a business up and running, helping it to grow, helping it to thrive. That's one division we have. Another division we have is called DFO, the Division of Economic Financial Opportunity. That's where we certify MWBE businesses, minority and women-owned business enterprises. And so what we do there is we get people certified so that they can have opportunities to contract with government agencies, for example. We gave out, since March 2020, over $1.2 billion in government contracts to MWBEs. We also have a division called the Neighborhood Development Division. That works with the business improvement districts around the city. We have over 76 of them. And if you notice through the pandemic, when you have this supplemental service that the bids provide in terms of public safety and sanitation issues, those businesses were able to fare better during COVID. So we're trying to expand that, especially into the LMI communities, low moderate income communities, where we can provide additional support for small businesses. Yes,
I wish I knew you a couple of years ago, because I feel like, there was so many small businesses that needed assistance. All of this money was being given out, during COVID, but especially black-owned business, businesses owned by women weren't getting a lot of that funding. Why was that?
Wait, he had one more.
Yeah, one more. Let me just go with and the last one, last but not least, is our workforce development centers. And again, 18 workforce training centers throughout the city. And what we try to do is we connect people looking for jobs with high emerging, high in-demand careers. And so those are places that you can just show up, sign up, and we'll put you into a training program to get you jobs.
That was initially why I had contacted the SBS when I first met Commissioner Greg Bishop, who's been on this show before, was because I was looking for employees, and somebody had recommended that I go to the SBS because they could help match us with potential employees that are trained.
Yes, and it's been a very successful program. So,
now why couldn't black people get that money and minority-owned businesses get that money? Why was it so difficult?
You mean during
Before
COVID?
Before
COVID or during
after
COVID? During COVID?
Yeah, when they were looking for relief to keep these businesses open.
I think this is one of the reasons why SBS exists, right? We're at the core of everything we do. It's about equity of access and inclusion. But like you said, initially when the programs were announced, the federal government, they just said, okay, here's the money. And then within like 36 hours or whatever it was gone, right? So a lot of it is who has the information. And then if you do have the information, who's ready to apply right away?
You got to have your business in order.
Exactly.
And your accounts and everything. And have somebody that knows how to even apply in the proper way and get the paperwork right.
And so one of the other programs that we've launched and we're very proud of is our resiliency program, the B Prep. So how do you get businesses prepared for those moments? And so we have an emergency response unit as well. So there was a big fire up in the Bronx, and then there was a fire in Flushing, Queens just last week. We have a team that'll go right out and connect and go to the business owners and say, hey, here we are. We can help you with commercial leases, assistance. Here's information on insurance. Like, these are things that the business owners don't know, but we need to get them prepared before the disaster happens. And that's where our B Prep program comes in. We can go in earlier to talk to any business that calls us, and we'll say, these are the paperwork. You should have a copy at home. You shouldn't just have it in your store. If there's a fire, you're going to lose it all. Those are the things that I think really need to get out there. The word needs to get out there.
Yeah, and that was one thing I also, and I agree with you on that, because these services are available and they're great. I've actually gone there and taken classes and everything to help me with my business. And I also did get my certification for the Minority and Women Business Enterprise. And so people don't even understand how valuable that can be for women, for people of color, for Black people, to be able to have these contracts available with the city. So can you tell people, for anybody that is a small business owner, that is, a minority, that is a woman, what is that certification exactly, and how can that help their business?
So the great thing is, like I said, they just need to call us, because a lot of people get intimidated by paperwork, right? And they're just like, I don't want to deal with this. It's government work. But they can call us. We'll take them step by step through the process. And the beauty is, once you get certified with our city, there's also state certification programs that we can help you with. And we're working on trying to get reciprocity between the city and the state. Port Authority and a lot of the MTA, a lot of these other agencies have the same kind of goals in terms of giving out contracts to MWBEs. Right. But unless you're certified, you don't have access to that.
So if you wanted to open a location in the airport, for instance, right, there's a certain percentage of MWBEs that will have access to be able to open their business in the airport.
Yes, and the city has a goal of 30% target. So every government agency is working towards that. So you need to get certified in order to be in it.
And you can become rich. Like your business, can you give us some examples of like a business that could qualify to get this and how that can make you Now, I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying it is potential, because there are businesses that have made millions of dollars just from being certified.
Yes, well, there's great stories like that, but let me just give you one quick example of a small business that benefited that didn't really expect to benefit. So there's a small hair salon shop where ACS, there's an agency in New York City that deals with children in distress, and they would take their kids to, when they were with ACS, they would take them to this hair salon to get their hair cut. And, they would pay on a per-child basis. And then ACS said, hey, why don't you become MWBE certified? Then we can grant you a more longer sustaining contract. And they got $150,000 out of it. And that, is a big amount of money for a small business, right? And that helped them sustain and grow. And now they have this contract and it's ongoing. So I think the opportunities come when you get involved, when you got to be in it to win it, in a way, with taking a phrase from the lottery, but you got to do that. So.
What's the difference between an SBA and a PPP for people that don't understand? Because you hear all these people getting arrested for falsifying information for PPP. So what is the difference, and can somebody be arrested for an SBA?
Well, so SBA is the Small Business Administration. So that's the federal agency that administers these kind of small business grants and loans. And then the PPP, as you know, was the federal government plan to get out money right away. I think anytime you falsify a government document, you can get arrested. So I would be I would advise people not to do that.
You know you're wrong.
But even if you have to pay it back.
I think even if you have to pay back, it's interesting. So I used to be a former state liquor authority commissioner, and a lot of times people would fill out applications, but they would not always put the 100% truth on it. And anytime you do that on a government document, you kind of not just lose the trust of the agency reviewing your document, but there can be criminal implications.
So you don't get that risk if you want.
Can't you get an SBA loan though?
Yeah, you can get an SBA loan, but that's different than falsifying documents to get the loan.
But you get
right?
an SBA loan based on your business,
right?
Based on the employees, based on how long your business has been in service, and all that other stuff.
Just tell the truth.
So do you know who Dre and Michelle is?
Dre Michelle?
Dre. Okay, well let me tell you, she posted this the other day.
Hold on. Go ahead. You can ask a question.
Who's this?
She says, "Hey, I got a question for my little scammers. Laugh out loud. If you get an SBA loan and it's under a business name, what are the steps to paying it back? And if it's under the business name and you go into default, does it go under your personal credit? You got the picture.
Oh, boy.
That's her.
That's straight.
You want to give her a loan, don't you? You want to give her a loan, don't you?
So,
Come on, Kevin.
So while I'm a lawyer, I'm not an expert in this particular area, and I'm not here to, give legal advice. So I'll have to leave that to our lawyers. But
He's
happy to
I'm
help
not trying
out.
to give the wrong information out here.
Plus, I saw the photo, and I'm trying to get past this question as quickly as possible.
We'll tell Trey to just DM you.
Now, how have small businesses recovered since the beginning of the pandemic?
It's been really tough. And as you know, so many, let me just take the restaurant industry, for example. And some estimates say that 5,000 restaurants had closed during the pandemic. There are usually about 25,000 in that area. And has been heartwarming, though, is that I've been out in the streets. I was out in Jamaica, Queens. I know you're from Queens. I'm from Queens.
What part of Queens?
So I grew up in Sunnyside originally in the 70s, and then Bayside, Queens.
What
and
high
so
school you went to?
I went to Townsend Harris High School when they first started. I was in the first graduating class, 1988. But yeah, I grew up in Queens in the 70s and 80s.
Francis.
So. Oh yeah, St. Francis Pro, of course. So, but I was out in Jamaica, Queens with Councilmember Natasha Williams and Councilmember Linda Lee, and we were walking the corridors. And it was unbelievable to see how many businesses were actually opening now. Because I think there is some opportunity with the lower rents and whatnot, but most of the businesses we saw, they were immigrant-owned businesses because I think they realize, like, they come to this country whenever they come, COVID or not, and they have to feed their family. So a lot of them just have to start a business because they have to. But it was incredible. Like, there was a place called La Bon Pain, a Haitian bakery that opened up a year and a half ago, and they're doing really well. And it's like we're there to help anytime they need it, but they launch themselves doing fine. It's great to see.
Yeah, one of my friends, she owns this restaurant in Brooklyn called Tilly's, and the pandemic actually helped her business during that time because it was less staff that you needed.
Right.
And so so as far as paying staff, it was a lot less. And then she did a lot of takeout orders and delivery orders, so that really helped sustain them and keep it going. So I think for certain people, it wasn't bad, and for a lot of people it was.
Most people it was bad, but I think we're trying to take the silver lining out of it. I think some great programs have come out of the pandemic. The open restaurants program, more outdoor seating opportunities. We have the
to-go
open
liquor.
To-go liquor, which is
going?
right. They're trying. That's a state issue, and the governor's for it, but the legislatures are kind of holding it back a little bit. But the open streets program came out of it. They closed down the streets.
Though.
Less parking is an issue, and
more traffic because the streets are closed off.
Yeah, so there's a lot of balancing acts, and they're talking about how to make open restaurants balance between the businesses, the residents, and sanitation issues too.
Now we want to talk about NYC because that's what we're really here for. And I do feel like marketing is really important for people to know these services are available and be able to take advantage of them.
Sure. So we're really proud of our NYC, Black Entrepreneur NYC program, as you know, and you were there for the launch, right?
I launched at the Apollo.
And thank you for that. And so we launched a couple of years ago. We've connected over 1,500 current and aspiring entrepreneurs since then. We have robust programming, 5 programs that are going on. We have a very active mentorship program. I think that's one of the big issues with many BIPOC and immigrant community type businesses that start up. They need mentors, and it's hard to find. So we're in the business of helping them connect. We just launched a Black business online directory, the first comprehensive directory. I think if, for example, you're looking for a cool juice place in Brooklyn and you typed up juices in Brooklyn,
Juices
then
for life, baby.
hey, somehow Juices for Life shows up. But we really encourage Black business owners to come onto our site, nyc.gov/shop Black, and to register their businesses, because in June, we're going to do a huge marketing push to say, hey, you want to support Black-owned local businesses? You type in whatever it is you want, the borough you want, and boom, you're going to get that. We have about 2,500 businesses signed up now, but we're trying to get that to 5,000, 10,000, and keep going.
For all of our Black-owned business owners, make sure you sign up. And I was reading these statistics that only 3.5% of businesses in New York City are Black-owned businesses, and we make up 22% of the population.
Yes. It's that is a number that stares right at your face, and that's something that we're working every day to change. I think there are opportunities coming down the road, especially in more emerging industries like cannabis and crypto. And I think that this is a real opportunity for the black community to take advantage.
Well,
and
SBA loan give for cannabis?
SBS.
SBS.
SBS what
So,
they give for?
so the issue with cannabis is that federal government still doesn't allow it, right? So it gets a little bit complicated. But the state has mandated in their laws that the the communities that were most impacted by the war on drugs are going to be front in line, and that's our
That's what
administration.
they say. We got to make sure
Well,
that
this
really
is,
happens.
Right, the
It's
execution. No, I really think in this case the execution is the key, right? And
It's bullshit. I'm gonna tell you
why do you say that?
All right, application fee for cannabis, right? You got to purchase a lawyer and then you got to pay somebody to write the application. How much is that?
I think I don't know exactly, but I think the application fee was they were saying around $300, but they're going to be
$300 what?
I think $300.
No.
The application is
To get somebody to write an application fee, it varies.
But this
from
is where.
$75,000 to
But this is exactly why you call SBS, because we will
minority
help you
people-
go through that application
free,
without
for
paying for
free.
free. This is your taxpayer dollars at work. You've already paid for it, right? So come to us. We're gonna hold your hand and get you through the process for free.
So we could get that application fee waived?
I don't know, but
No,
so
they're
I don't
talking
want
about they'll help you.
I don't want to get
You
into
don't
the
have to hire
details of the
somebody
state.
to do
But no,
the
that's what we're talking about.
application.
We're talking about that's the point of entry. The point of entry is the
He's saying the
application.
application is $300.
No, but I think
No, it's
well,
not.
well, sorry.
The fee.
No, it's not.
Let me take a step back since I don't want to get into trouble because this is a state program, but the city is partnering with them, right? And SBS is our focus is to make sure that the people you're talking about who want to get involved, who can't do it because of economic
Financial.
challenges, whatever reasons, that's what we're here to help solve. And so whether it's 300 or whether it's more, the city is committed to making sure, especially with legacy market players, we want them in the system. Because if you have this system where you have the regulated people owning retail shops, for example, and then there's still people out in the black market selling, it doesn't help either side, right? So other states have messed up on that. And that's something that I do credit. The state has been very aware of those issues, and that's what they're working on. But SBS, if you're thinking about starting a cannabis business, you should contact us. It hasn't been implemented yet by the state, but as soon as it does, that's when you need to call us.
The only reason I say that is it sounds good, but the problem is the amount of money and assets and liquid that you need. Somebody who's been affected by drugs the way that they have been locked up for all this time, 9 times out of 10 are not going to have that. So they're going to have to go to somebody who has that money. And usually it's not other black people. It's usually a white person, a white businessman. So they give the black person 20% of the business, 30% of the business to get in the door, and they take 70. And then after 2 years, they don't have to have that person anymore, and they wind up losing it. So it really doesn't benefit. Now, if the application fee was just $300, I'm with you all day. But the application fees go from anywhere from $75,000 to $250,000.
Unless it's different in New York than
But to
Jersey.
qualify, don't you have to have more than 50% ownership? Has to be minority or a black person
For 2
or
years.
a woman?
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
believe. But just
You could be the face.
But just to take a step back, I guess maybe I was talking about the processing fee. Maybe that's the actual cost of starting up any business. Yes, it could be 75 to 250,000 because you need to get a
need
store,
money.
you need to get a lease. I
Right.
mean, you know that because you're a business guy. But the state also has a fund that they've committed to. I don't know. I don't remember the exact number, and so I don't want to be misquoted. But it is with that in mind to help the startups. They understand what the costs will be, and the city understands it. So we're going to all work together to make sure, again, that the people most impacted by the war on drugs are going to be front in line. And that's something that we're
And let
committed
me ask you this. Does the SBS, they also can help you as far as getting a loan from a bank, right?
Yes.
They can help you with the
Yes.
paperwork and connecting you.
That's right. We have a network of lenders as well. And so they should call us and we can see what industry they're in, what their needs are, and then we can connect them to
And
the right
grants
people.
as well. You
Yes.
can get grants.
Yes.
So they can help you with all of those things.
Yes.
When I did my MWBE, you guys walked me through every single step because it is a lot of paperwork.
a lot of
And it is a commitment to do it. But if you're committed to having a successful business, these are things that you have to do.
Absolutely.
They said Wells Fargo approved just 47% of refinance applicants versus 72% of white applicants. Why is that?
Well, I think that's been a historical issue where I think minority, especially black applicants to traditional bank loans do get denied at higher rates. There's so many factors. So again, I'm not an expert in that area, but I think that, as a business anyway, New York City, you come to us, we're going to help you guide through and get you the best opportunities, connect you to the best resource that we can.
Just a
Sure.
philosophical question, right?
Yep.
Like, we always talk about entrepreneurship and business ownership, and we always say that, Black people need to be more entrepreneurs, more business owners, because that'll help close the racial wealth gap in America. Do you really believe we'll see that in our generation?
I definitely see that if you get more people into entrepreneurship opportunities, that the generational wealth shift happens. So I'll just quickly go into my own
Think
story.
about how wide this gap is.
No, it's tremendous.
Yeah.
And data-wise, it shows that if your head of household is an entrepreneur, so you're a self-employed business person, or run your own business, your net worth is 63% more than other people, and you're 2x, twice as much income as somebody who's working, for a company, W-2 employee, for example. So what I'm trying to say is that I know personally the generational difference that a successful business can make. My parents came here from Korea in 1975 with nothing. It was 5 of us living in Sunnyside, Queens in a 1-bedroom, my sister, my grandmother, and they started a little artificial flower business. My mother would be a designer. She would design these flowers. My dad would take it door to door in the garment district. Eventually, they made a little bit of money, and then we moved to Bayside because they wanted to go where the schools were, right? So Francis Lewis Boulevard, IS-25. So in one generation, I know that they went from being immigrants, entrepreneurs, and here I am sitting in this seat talking to you guys, trying to help other people. So when you say, is this something that's possible? I think it's possible, but we need people to understand there are resources like SBS that they need to rely on, and that the path to entrepreneurship in many times will be better than just, taking on your traditional, let's say, minimum wage jobs, for example. So that's what we're trying to do here. One of the programs that I'm working on is really to understand the justice-involved community and how we can get them on a path to entrepreneurship versus just jobs. And I really do feel cannabis and crypto are 2 emerging areas where the regulatory settings aren't quite there to be as discriminatory in certain instances of we've seen in other industries in the past. And I think it's an opportunity. So that's where we come in to help.
Well, we appreciate you for joining us.
Yes,
thank you for sharing some knowledge to the people.
And
some
again, where
information.
can people go to sign up if you have a Black-owned business and
Yes.
they want to be listed in that directory?
Thank you. So there's 2 sites. It's the same thing, www.nyc.gov/BE, so, right, BNYC. And then there's also /Shop Black. So those are the 2, nyc.gov/BNYC, and then /Shop Black. So those are the 2 sites. We encourage people, register your businesses so that more people can know about it, and we'll help promote it.
All right. Well, we have Kevin D. Kim. Thank you for joining us. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.